Okay. Right. So we are in class 12 of the book of Shemuel. Today is Tet Adar Tafshin Peh. Nice to see all of you coming to study Torah, notwithstanding some of the news that's happening, some of the events. Totally understand that we are unfortunately living in precarious times. But so it is. We have to carry on and continue studying Torah. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to study. We're on the 7th chapter of Shemuel. We have a beautiful chapter, really beautiful chapter. I really enjoy studying these things with you. I hope you enjoyed as much as I do. So last week we saw what happened to the Aron HaKodesh. The Aron HaKodesh was with the Philistine cities. That was a complete disaster. Plagues, pestilence, disease, corona, and then some. Okay, so you say, well, it's going to come to the Jewish city, and when it reaches the Jewish city, well, that would be different because, it's the Jews. And, it's interesting. So, people say you're the chosen people. We're the chosen people if we do good, right? So when the Aron HaKodesh reaches Bet Shemesh and the people are not worthy, 50,070 people die, right? Now, why did 50,000 people die? 50,000, 10,000 Jews for each one of the Philistine cities. So 10,000 times 5 is 50. So Hashem is giving us a message. The message is, I'm looking not at your ethnicity, not because you have Jewish blood, not because you have Jewish DNA. I'm looking at your behavior. And right now, your behavior is like their behavior. And I didn't accept the Aron HaKodesh in the Philistine cities. And if the Jews are acting like that, I'm not going to accept the Aron HaKodesh there in Bet Shemesh. And that's why 50,000 people die. 70 people die, I speculate, because I said this is around the holiday of Shavuot. And the holiday of Shavuot commemorates Ma'amad Har Sinai, Mount Sinai. And during the vision of Mount Sinai, as I mentioned to you, the 70 elders of the Jews looked up at the glory of God. They should not have done that. That was disrespectful. They should have covered their eyes. They should have had a little humility, but they're like looking. And the pasuk says, "Ve'el asile bnei Yisrael lo shalach yado." Hashem does not kill the 70 elders. They should have died, but he said, you know what? It's a holiday of Shavuot. I don't want to turn the holiday into a time of mourning. So he didn't kill them. Okay. So, my speculation is the Aron HaKodesh returned to Bet Shemesh, the time of Kesir Hatim, the harvest of the wheat. That's the holiday of Shavuot. And that now that they looked at the Aron HaKodesh, they opened up and they beheld the glory of God, which is very, very disrespectful. The 70 people who were killed were Keneged, the 70 people that should have been killed in Har Sinai. That's the end of the previous chapter. And now we are going to read, well, where does the Aron HaKodesh go? We're going to read the Pesukim and see what happened to the Aron HaKodesh. More importantly, we're going to read the Pesukim and see what happened to the Jewish people. Vayavo'u anshe kiryat ye'arim vaya'alu et Aron Adonai vayavi'u oto el bet Avinadab b'gib'ah ואת אלעזר בנו קדשו לשמור את ארון Adonai. There is a city on the way from Bet Shemesh, which is already the beginning, let's say, of the Judean hills. And if you keep going up and towards the city of Jerusalem, you get to a city in the forest. And this city is surrounded by forests, and because of that it was called Kiryat Ye'arim, the city of forests. And here's what happened. The Aron HaKodesh gets to this city, and it's there for 20 years. Lo and behold, magically, nothing happens to the people in the city. So you can ask, well, why did nothing happen to the people in the city? And the answer is, because they respected the Aron HaKodesh. And look at the difference. Vayavo. What is Vayavo on Kiryat Yarim? It means that, when you have Achnasat Sefer Torah, how you go out to the Sefer Torah, and there's a procession leading the Sefer Torah into the synagogue. We do that out of respect, because the Sefer Torah is God's word, so we don't just, we don't just bring into the Sefer Torah. We bring food into the knis. We bring things. We don't just bring a Sefer Torah into the knis. So there's a procession out of honor, out of respect, right? So this time, they send a delegation of people. The people leave the city of forests. They go towards the Aron HaKodesh, and out of respect, they walk with the Aron HaKodesh into the city. That's the first difference. The second difference is, when the Aron HaKodesh reached Bet Shemesh last week, they left it in the field. I mean, really? What is it? Some sort of, magical object? You're leaving it in the field? On a big stone, okay? Here, they go to a person who lived on the tallest part of the city, right? Don't forget, this is the mountains, right? So the tallest part of the city, there was a person called Adar. He was apparently a very generous person, a person who did a lot of tzedakah, a lot of chesed, and they take it to his house. So that's the second difference. They put the Aron HaKodesh, again, in the best place that they can think of, right? That's number two. And number three, there is a person called Adar whose full-time job is to stand guard by the Aron HaKodesh. Let me explain this. In the Bet HaMikdash, I'm a Levi. Any other Leviim here? Okay, I'm a Levi. One of the jobs of the Leviim in the Bet HaMikdash was to stand guard in the Bet HaMikdash at night. So the Hachamim asked, why do you need people to stand guard at the Bet HaMikdash, the holy temple in Jerusalem? So it was the nighttime, the sun would set, the Bet HaMikdash would close, people would go home, nobody was in the Bet HaMikdash at night. The Leviim were there standing guard. So they say, what are they standing guard for? So they say, out of respect to the king. It's not that the king needs the protection of the Leviim, but out of respect, similar to when you have Buckingham Palace, you have the guards there. They're doing it, I don't know, Chas v'shalom, God forbid, there was some sort of terrorist attack. I don't know how effective these guards would be. Maybe they are effective. I have no idea. But I can also see a situation where they're really not the real protection, these two guys standing outside, but maybe there's something a little more than that, right? I would think, okay? But it's out of respect. It's out of respect to the palace, right? Out of respect to the king and queen. So you have in the Bet HaMikdash, the Leviim standing guard at night out of respect for God. So similarly here, they took a person called Adar, they sanctified him and his duty was to stand guard by the Aron HaKodesh. And this is important. You can have, some clown decides to come in, he wants to look at it, it's an avon, right? You don't want people going in, touching it, everybody, with their, I want to touch the Aron HaKodesh, it's holy, I want to touch it. Stay away. Have a little respect. Right? Have a little respect. Don't jump on it. It's not a show. All right? And this is really important, to respect holy objects. So, okay.
How far do you go with that? Or not view it as an amulet or something as, this gives meaning.
Exactly. Well, that's the point. Well, by the way, the Hachamim didn't want people touching the Sefer Torah either. That's why they put it in a case. They don't want people touching the actual parchment. Have respect. It's not like, I want to touch it. If I touch it, I'll become holy. No. If you read it, you'll become holy. If you follow the words in the Torah, you'll become holy. You don't need to touch it. Touching the Sefer Torah is something that doesn't make you holy unless you follow the Sefer Torah. So Hachamim said, don't touch the Sefer Torah. Have a little respect. Stay away from it. You understand? That's really important. So now we have the situation. So now you see why the Aron HaKodesh was for 20 years in this city, in the mountains, because they respected it. Now, here's the next pasuk. I want you to hear the next pasuk.
Did the Philistines ever open the Aron?
It doesn't say so.
It doesn't.
Right. Vayhi miyom shevet ha'aron b'kiryat yarim vayirbu hayamim vayihiyu 20 shana vayinahu kol bet Yisrael acharei Adonai. And here's what happened. The Aron HaKodesh is in the city for 20 years. I want to give you like a little now context, just so you understand the story. For 20 years, the Aron HaKodesh is there. Now, you remember where was the Aron HaKodesh originally at the beginning of our story? It was in the city of Shiloh. Shiloh is a city to the north of Jerusalem. The Aron HaKodesh was there, but it wasn't there alone. The Mishkan that Moses built in the desert that we're reading about, by the way, last week's Parashah was about the Mishkan. This coming week's Parashah is about the Mishkan. We're reading about it now in the Torah. So the Mishkan that Moshe Rabbeinu built was also there. Okay, so the whole city was destroyed. The Aron HaKodesh now is in this Kiryat Ye'arim. What happened to the Mishkan? During this period of time, the Kohanim moved to a city called Nov. Nov became a city where all the Kohanim ran away. And when they ran away from Shiloh because the Philistines, destroyed it. They took the Mishkan with them. And here you have a split. There's a split. What do I mean by that? Always the Aron HaKodesh is in the middle of the Mishkan. It's in the temple. Here there's a split. The Kohanim are in the city of Nov with the Mishkan. What's missing? The Aron HaKodesh. The Aron HaKodesh is in a private house. Meaning Hashem is telling the Jewish people, guys, not interested. Do me a favor, stay away from the Aron HaKodesh. Don't want it. You want to bring sacrifices? Okay, no problem. Bring your sacrifice. You want to have the city of Kohanim? Okay, no problem. The city of Kohanim. I don't want the Aron HaKodesh there. 20 years. Now, I just want to give you, again, the historical context. Shemuel is 33 years old when this happens. 33 years old. At the age of 33, the Aron HaKodesh goes to the city Kiryat Ye'arim, the city of forests. Shemuel lives, he's 33, he lives another 7 years. He dies at the age of 40. He dies very young. Okay, then, after that, there's 2 years, I'm sorry, Shemuel lives another, I misspoke, he lives another 11 years, I'm sorry. He lives another 11 years. My mistake, I apologize for that. He wasn't 33, he was 29. Okay, he lives another, so he dies at the age of 40. For 11 years, so that means from the age of Shemuel is 29 years old to the age of 40, the Aron HaKodesh is in Kiryat Ye'arim. Saul, King Saul, we're going to read about King Saul, the first king of the Jewish people, 2 years. How many years did we reach so far? 2 plus 11? 13. Okay. Then King David comes. King David is king for 7 years in the city of Hebron. And then when King David moves to Jerusalem, until now nobody knew about Jerusalem. Jerusalem was just some city. Nobody knew it was a holy city. Nobody knew it was going to be the place of the Beit HaMikdash. King David, he moves to Jerusalem. And when he moves to Jerusalem, what does he take with him? He goes to Kiryat Ye'arim, and he finally, after 20 years, the Aron HaKodesh is taken to Jerusalem, and it's put in Jerusalem. So I wanted to give you some of the historical background so you know what's happening. And again, I always say this, the stories in the Torah, the stories in the Nevi'im, they're not just like, mythologies, fairy tales, once upon a time there was a fairy godmother or whatever. These are historical stories. Okay, we can calculate the years, we know when everything took place, so it all happens in the context of time, meaning there's this fact. It's not just fantasies, it's not just mythologies, okay? So that's why I always try to be precise and give you that background. All right. So, what happens to the Jewish people? The Pasuk says, the Jewish people, they begun to cry unto God. And they begun to cry unto God like a child crying, looking for his parents. Okay, so what we're going to be studying about now is how did that take place? Okay? So we know some of what happened before. This is a terrible time in Jewish history. The Jews were under threat by the Philistines. They want to destroy all of the Jewish existence in the land of Israel. They want to wipe them out. The Philistines are much stronger than the Jews. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Woody Allen. Like that type of matchup. Like it's no contest. The Philistines are warriors. They have weapons. They have military skills. They have strategy. The Jews are like, we did not fight a war. We're clueless. It's not like today, Baruch Hashem, we have Tzahal, so we kind of like got into shape. So now we have, back then, no, it was a joke. We couldn't defend ourselves against the Philistines. So the Jewish people are looking at what happened. They're looking at the destruction of Shiloh. They're looking at the destruction of the Mishkan. and they begin to realize we messed it up. We did something wrong. And there's begins a process of teshuvah, a transformation in the Jewish people. And we're going to read now about that transformation. Okay? So let's start.
I have a fast question. So during those 20 years, this is when King David killed Goliath?
That is correct. All the stories with King Saul and King David, it all happens during this 20-year period. And what we're reading now, I'm sorry, I'm a little warm.
It is warm.
I apologize. Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
So all the Jews decide that they now all of a sudden they miss Hashem and they miss the.
It's not all of a sudden. You know, I got to tell you, I lived in Israel, and I have to tell you that when missiles came raining down on the cities in Israel, and I was there when that happened, it changed the people. We're still not close to where we need to be, but it definitely changed the people. You don't come out of that. I remember walking with my wife in Park Ra'anana. This was like towards the end of one of those wars. It was, you know, where missiles were actually reaching Ra'anana, and it was pretty intense. And also there was social media was coming out, so you saw the scenes of the soldiers, and there was one particular a video clip that maybe some of you saw where the soldiers are coming back from the Gaza war, and they're like in some military base, and they're all dancing and singing some songs, some religious songs. You know, you saw the Chiloni soldiers and the Dati soldiers, and it was really quite touching. So anyway, so we were walking in Park Ra'anana, and I remember, I'll always remember this. It was just the radio was on. They have like this cafe. It's a beautiful park with a pond, and really pretty. Wow, you may have seen it. I don't know if you went to visit your family. Beautiful park, and with a beautiful pond, and there's a cafe right on the pond, and they have like the radio on. It was like back then there was no hechsher. It was like a Chiloni cafe. But so there's no hechsher today. They changed it. It actually has hechsher, and it's a great place to go. So I recommend it. Anyway, they had the radio on. It was just a radio, and I remember they were having religious music on the radio. It was like just regular, and they were having a song, Vehi she'amda la'avotenu. You know the song, Vehi she'amda la'avotenu. You know that song? Vehi she'amda la'avotenu ve'lanu shelo echad bilvad. It was like on the radio, and it was like a religious song, and it's just there blaring the music, and it was like, I'm like looking at my wife, like, what's going on? And so what's going on is that we were in the war, and we realized that God is protecting us, and it was like almost like you can't deny it. It's just there. And I remember there's a guy Yair Lapid who's a real known secular figure in Israel. He's like really secular. I mean, he's like always there. And there was like a particular morning. It was a Friday morning during the war, where a bomb fell on a gas station, and for some reason a missile fell on a gas station. For some reason, the missile didn't go off. It was a dud. And he actually said on the radio, I have to tell you, this is a miracle. He's a secular guy. He's not a big fan of the religious. Certainly doesn't go to Bnei Brak to any yeshivas there, right? He's a secular figure, and he said, I got to tell you, this is a miracle. I heard it if I didn't hear it with my own ears, I would never have believed this. He said that I have to tell you, this is a miracle that just happened this morning. You know what I'm saying? So answer to your question, history, events transformed the nation. That's what happened here, and that's what's going to happen in Israel, by the way. As events unfold and crises take place, there's going to be a transformation among the Jewish people, and apparently we have some path to go, and I hope it's not a difficult one, of course. But I just recognize that in the past, difficult crises brought out, a special people.
So my question is, why couldn't Shemuel's own sons get with the program?
What? Why couldn't what?
Why couldn't Shemuel's own sons?
Right. So we're going to read about them later. We're not quite there now. We will read about them later. Okay. So let's continue now. So what led to the transformation of the Jewish people? So Shemuel is there. He's a young man, 29 years old, and he begins to speak to the Jewish people, and he says the following: "Vayomer Shemuel el kol bet Yisrael lemor." אם בכל לבבכם אתם שבים אל אדוני, הסירו את אלוהי הנכר מתוככם בהעשתרות, והכינו לבבכם אל אדוני, ועבדוהו לבדו, ויסל אתכם מיד פלישתים. He tells the Jewish people, I got news for you. You want to save yourselves from the Philistines? They were scared. They were scared. You want to be safe from the Philistines? I'll tell you what you have to do. Good army is great. It is, and you need a good army. Defenses are great. You need that. But he says, you want to save yourself from the Philistines? You need a good ally. And you know who your ally should be? Hashem. Let God be your ally. And you know how you make God your ally? Get rid of the foreign gods from your midst, especially the Ashtarot. Back then, people used to have idols of the Astarte. The Ashtarot is a Canaanite goddess that was the goddess of fertility. And people used to have the Virgin Mary. The Virgin Mary was very popular at some point. So this was like a very popular idolatry. People believed that if you had this goddess in your house, that it would bring you blessing. And it was just, like that was part of the culture. And many Jews, they practiced idolatry. So Shemuel is telling them really simple: you can't have idols in your house and expect Hashem to save you. It doesn't work like that. Number one, get rid of the idols. Number two, worship God. But when you worship God, what did I tell you Friday night in the Knesset? You worship God, and you worship God alone, and you worship nobody else but God. No intermediaries, right? We don't pray to other things. We only pray to God. That was the message that Shemuel is giving to the Jewish people. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. One God, and we worship Him alone. We don't need red ribbons, We don't need chamses. We don't need any of that. We need to follow the mitzvot of God. That's what He wants from us, and nothing more. That's the message. Let's continue. And the Jewish people hear this message, and the pasuk says, "Vayasiru bnei Israel et habe'alim et ha'ashtarot v'ya'adu et Adonai levado." The Jewish people accept the message. They accept Shemuel's rebuke, and they begin to remove the foreign gods from their midst. They remove the Avodah Zarah from their midst. They get rid of the Avodah Zarah, and they begin to pray to God. They begin to worship God and God alone. And here's what Shemuel does. Shemuel was waiting for this moment. He wasn't going to do this till they're ready. But now, they were ready. And here's what he does. Now that they got rid of the idolatry, that they got rid of the pagan gods. And here's what Shemuel does. Vayomer Shemuel kibsu et kol Yisrael hamispata ve'etpalel ba'adchem el Adonai. Shemuel says the time has come. There's a beautiful pasuk in Zot HaBeracha. The pasuk says that it's a vision. It's a vision of the Messianic era, and it's probably a vision of the Jewish people in the desert with Moses as the king of the Jewish people, or in the not far future, hopefully very, very near future. Far future for Moses, near future to us, the Mashiach ben David gathering the Jewish people. And the pasuk says as follows: Vahi bishurun melech. There will be a day where there will be a king in the Jewish people. Beit asef rashi am, and all the leaders, all the political leaders, all the tribes, Yachad Shetesa, will gather around this king, and he will unify the Jewish people. And when we reach this state of unity and brotherhood and love between us, that's when the ultimate redemption comes. Because for there to be the redemption, the Jewish people have to be unified. There has to be love between the Jewish people. By the way, going back to Israel, if I may, what's happening today in Israel, it's kind of sad. They had 3 elections in a row. The reason they had 3 elections in a row is because they can't get together. It's incredible. It's never been this bad, right? It's never been a situation where the Jews just can't get together. There's so much divisiveness and so much, political agendas, and so much it's always about, we'll vote for anyone but him. We'll vote for anyone but, and it's on all sides. It's on all sides. It's like, he's terrible. It's like, it's on all sides, right? And it's tremendous hatred and divisiveness, right? It's never about division. Let's get an Israeli leader. I have a vision for the country, and here it is. People will drink it up. But no, it's always like, he's no good, and he's bad, and he's bad, and no, you're bad, and then, okay. So what's happening in Israel today? The Arabs got together, they unify, and they have what do they have now in the Knesset?
16.
Crazy. That's one of the biggest parties.
The third biggest party,
Yeah, it's crazy, nuts.
because they're united.
Because they're united. Meanwhile, they had 3 elections in a row. I don't know what Bibi Netanyahu is going to do. He has 59 seats. He's going to have to figure out, maybe he'll cause 2 people to defect from the other parties. I don't know.
They'll do it.
What?
They'll do it.
Okay, good. I hope so. I'm an Israeli. I hope so. I want for the good of Israel. But it's taken a year. We've had 1 election, just couldn't get together. Another one. He's going to have to go, be underhanded, be devious, and cause 2 people to leave their political party. How's that going to work? Very simple. What do you want? Oh, you want to be the minister of justice? You never went to law school. Don't know anything about legal system. Don't know anything about law. You're the minister of justice. Great. That'll be really good for the country. Oh, you want to be Sarah Briut? Never went to medical school. Know nothing about medicine. You'll be the health minister.
Who was the
There you
minister?
go. Okay, got my 2 seats. Perfect. Hava, Nagila, Hava. Okay, but with all due respect, you have to bribe the people, and now it's not for the good of the people. It's not for the good of the nation because they're bringing unqualified people to positions where you need qualified people. Okay, so we're not in a good situation. It's not good what's happening in Israel. So we're not quite there. But Shemuel, he was such a charismatic figure, and a person that was so loved, that he gathered the whole nation and everybody unified around Shemuel. That's what a great leader does. A great leader unifies the people. And he does it. He says, I want you to come to a place called the Mispet. I want you to come to that place. It's a high hill. It's a hill that is overlooking Jerusalem. If you go today to the north of Jerusalem, there's a neighborhood called Ramot. A little further away from that neighborhood, there's a place called Nabi Samuel. Nabi Samuel is an Arab village, and it's a very high Arab village, and I actually went there, and the view is incredible. You just see everything around it, and the speculation is, and that's where Shemuel is buried, and the speculation is that's where he took him. He took him to that hill, overlooking Jerusalem. At this point, they don't know what Jerusalem is. It's just a Yebusite city. There's no Jews there. It's like a fortified city with the Yebusiyas there, and there's no knowledge of Jerusalem. He takes him there, and the people come after this leader that they love. And here's what happened in the Mispat. But before I get there, I want to tell you something. What made Shemuel so great? What was unique about Shemuel? And we're talking about leaders. Before Shemuel,
He was a Navi, he was a Kohen. What exactly?
Shemuel, he was a Levi.
No, what did he do for the people? What did people see him as
A Navi.
As a Navi.
A Navi, correct.
So they accepted him as a
They
Navi.
accepted him as a Navi, and we said in one of the previous classes that everybody knew that this was a real thing. Everything that Shemuel said, everything he did, 100% accurate, no sketch. Felt like he was accepted by all the people and loved by all the people.
Not a leader, just a Navi.
No, and a leader, and in a sense, and you're going to see here his leadership. So I said a great leader unifies the people. So the proof of the pudding is in the making. He unified the people. Right? That's what we need, by the way. That's what the Jewish people need. We need a leader to unify, somebody that we all love. Nevertheless,
His whole life was dedicated to Hashem.
so I want to explain exactly what makes a great leader. And I'm reading Tana de Eliyahu. This is from the Bet Midrash of Eliyahu Hanavi. And it's Perek Yod Aleph for those of you who want to look at it. And they ask a question here. And let me just find it because it's like the letters are a little, or it's my eyesight, I'm not sure which, or combination. Give me a moment. Okay. Okay, so before this period, before the book of Shemuel, before Shemuel was born, it was the period of the Shofetim. The period of the Shofetim was a complete catastrophe. It was just one long downhill. And they asked, well, there was great people during the period of Shemuel. During the period of the Shofetim, there was great leaders. Why couldn't they succeed in doing what Shemuel is doing here? Why couldn't they unify the people? Why couldn't they cause the people to get rid of the Avodah Zarah? But they failed. Why? So here's great leadership. And they say, לפי שהיה להם לסנהדרי גדולה, שהניח משה ויהושע ופינחס בן אלעזר עמהם, היה להם ללך ולקשור חבלים שברזל בנעומיהם. These people, these judges, they were the students of Moses. They were the students of Joshua. They were great hachamim. They should have taken literally chains of iron and put it on their legs. It's a metaphor. Ulagbia bigdehem, to pick up their robes, because back then they used to wear these jalabiyas. Lemala me'al kubotem, pick up the robes and go start walking. V'yachzeru bechol ayalot Yisrael. Let them go to every single city of the Jewish people to teach Torah. Yom echad leLachish. One day they can go to the city of Lachish. Yom echad leBet El. In the south is Lachish. One day they'll go to Bet El in the center of the country, north of Jerusalem. Yom echad leHebron. One day they'll go to Hebron. Yom echad leYerushalayim. Let them go around from city to. Oh, it's so uncomfortable, man. I hate traveling. I'm not going to do this. I hate traveling. That's what they should have done. Yeah, but you're a leader. It's not about you. It's about the people. Be committed to the people. Get out of the Sanhedrin. You're in this beautiful Sanhedrin. Leave the Sanhedrin, leave the courthouse, and go visit the cities, right? And teach them Torah. V'yilamdu et Yisrael derech eres. B'shana u'b'shtam u'b'shalosh. Let them do this for 1, 2, 3 years until the Jews are settled in the land. And you know why you're doing this? Because when you do this and you teach Torah to the people, you are sanctifying the name of God. You're teaching people about the Creator. And you're bringing holiness to the world. But they didn't do this. They didn't do this at all. What did they do? When they entered Israel, and they were the students of Moses, they were obviously worthy people. They were very worthy. But everybody, they had their house, they had their vineyard, they had their wine, making factory, they had their fields. The omrim shalom alayich. After you say peace unto my soul, I've reached the promised land. I'm here and I'm enjoying it. Well, you may have reached the promised land, but the Jews need leaders, and you're in your house, and they're suffering, and they're going into idolatry, so go help them. But now, Shalom Aleichem Nafshi, they actually bring a story earlier in the chapter, where, there was a famous story where Yiftach, one of the judges of the Jewish people, he makes a neder, first thing to leave my house, he just won a war. He says, first thing to leave my house, I'm going to bring it as a korban to God. What leaves his house first? His daughter, exactly. His daughter leaves out. So the guy had to lock up his daughter because otherwise he'd have to bring her a sacrifice, which is, of course, an absurdity and a desecration, and of course, against halakha. And here's a simple question. Pinechas ben Elazar was alive. So they ask here, why doesn't Pinechas go and make his neder, right? So Yiftach wouldn't go to Pinechas. Yiftach says, I'm not going to go to him. I'm like the leader of the Jewish people. I should go to Pinechas. And Pinechas says, I'm not going to go to him. I'm like the great Chacham, and he was a great Chacham, by the way. I'm not going to say a word, Chas v'shalom, because he was a great, great, great Chacham. Nobody wanted to go to anybody. You come to me. No, you come to me. Okay, bottom line, girl is suffering in the house, and she can't leave the house and do anything. But nobody wants to go see anybody, right? The important thing is we maintained our honor. So that's the difference. Here's a leader who went from city to city, going to teach Torah. It was tough. It was hard. He had no house. He was always traveling. He died at a young age, by the way. Why do you think he died at a young age? Because he was so exhausted. Because all he did was travel around, undernourished, not well fed, not well housed, not well sheltered. But he gave his life to the Jewish people. And when it comes to time, and he calls the Jewish people, they listen to him. Because he was a real leader. He didn't care about himself. He cared about the people, and they knew it. You understand what a real leader is? That was Shemuel. So anyway, they come, and the story continues, and now we're going to read in the, that was Tana de Belial, and now we're going to go back to this verse, and it's a beautiful verse. I really like the story, I don't know why, personally. All right. ויקבצו המזבחתה וישאבו מים, וישפכו לפני אדוני, ויסומו ביום ההוא. That's it. ויאמרו שם, thank you, חטאנו לאדוני וישפוט שמואל בני ישראל במספר. All the Jewish people, they go to this giant hill overlooking the expanses around Jerusalem. And the pasuk says, they gathered water, they drew up water. I'm going to explain what that means. They drew up water. Vayishpechu, and they spilt it. They spilt the water before God. I will explain that. Vayasumu, they made a ta'anit, they made a fast. And over there, now that they got rid of the avodah zarah, now that they got rid of the sins, they started saying vidui, hatanu. They said hatanu, avinu, pashyanu. It's not enough to just get rid of the sin. You have to pronounce with your mouth in front of God what you did wrong. That's what we do on Kippur, right? So they did a big vidui. Vayishpot Shemuel et bnei Yisrael b'mispah. I'm giving you the peshat. I'm going to read the pasuk a second time and give you the depth of the pasuk. But this one just like give me the superficial meaning. And Shemuel rebukes the people. I like that. You know, like we have so many political leaders. Oh, what a cute little baby you have. Oh my God. Everything is like phony. We all know it's phony, and we all love it when the political leader does it to us, but it's phony. He's telling us, you know what, guys? You people really screwed up. Here's what you did wrong. You did avodah zarah. You're the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. He's giving them this musad. He's giving them musad. He's telling them the truth, and they love him for it because he's not a phony. He's a real leader. Okay? Okay. That's one level of the pasuk. Here's the second. Now, it says that they drew up water and they spilt it. So let me explain to you. In the Bet HaMikdash, when they brought sacrifices, they would usually they would spill wine by the Mizbeach. They would spill wine by the altar when they would bring a sacrifice, right? But there was one holiday a year where instead of spilling wine, they would do what's called Nisuch HaMayim. Nisuch HaMayim was done on Sukkot, where they would spill water upon the altar when they would bring the korbanot, not wine. The wine is something created by man. Vayachel Noach isha adama. The water was created by God. It's there from the very beginning. One of the first things that God creates is the water, right? So the water represents a certain purity in the world. So when you bring the Nisuch HaMayim, this is one thing that is done as a way of acknowledging God's purity in the creation, how God created the creations with complete pristine beauty and with purity. That's the water.
It's Beit HaShoeva that you
Right, and the Bet HaShoeva, Simchat Bet HaShoeva. Now, the water also represents the Torah in the pre-creation state. You know that before Hashem gave the Torah to the Jewish people in Har Sinai, the Torah existed in the heavenly realm. And that Torah is referred to as Mayim, as water. So the same way Hashem has the waters up in the heavens, which is the actual waters that rain down on earth, there is the Torah before it's verbalized in Har Sinai and given to the Jewish people. That's called Mayim. So now let me explain to you the deeper meaning of the pasuk. They gather around Shemuel, Vayish Avu Mayim, and with Shemuel is teaching them Torah, and they begin to study Torah together, and they begin to dig to bring up the deep waters, meaning the deep meanings of the Torah. So Shemuel is inspiring the entire nation, and there's a connection. Because sometimes when a person studies alone, okay, that's fine. But sometimes when a person studies with a great Hacham, there's a certain spiritual connection. And they do something together that they can't do alone, right? So Veishavu Mayim means that Shemuel is feeding off the people, because it's incredible. Who knows how many hundreds of thousands or millions of people are there. And the people are feeding off Shemuel, and they're bringing up this incredible depths of the Torah. Veishavu Mayim, they draw up the waters of the Torah. But then, Vayishpechu lifnei Adonai, they spill the water in front of God. The deeper meaning of that is the people begun to realize, as they were studying the Torah, they begun to realize what they did wrong. And they were so touched by the words of the Torah that they began to cry. They were literally spilling water, meaning tears were coming from their hearts, and they were spilling the waters. And Hashem looked at these tears, and He treated them as if although it was an Isu Hamam, as if although they were bringing a special sacrifice before Him. So Hashem was looking at the people. And it makes sense because they're saying, Hatanu, we sinned, and they're making a ta'anit, and Shemuel is rebuking them. So you understand how it all ties in together. So there's a transformation happening here with the people. Okay? Let's continue. And Vayishpot Shemuel et bnei Yisrael v'mishpat. So I gave you the previous explanation was he rebuked them, but there's a more beautiful explanation that's found in Shemot Rabbah. It says, you know what it means, Vayishpot? It literally means he judged them. So judge, I mean, he rebuked them. You did this wrong. Okay. The Chachamim say no. Shemuel began to speak to God, and he said, Ribbono shel olam, creator of the world, the Jewish people are making teshuvah. How can you still be angry at them? Look at them. They're crying. They study Torah. They're all crying. They're all saying vidui. He was as if below in court on our behalf,
He was
in
entreated.
front of God, by Yishpot, and he's telling God, that's it. The time has come to forgive the Jewish people. That's what was happening. Okay, so let me tell you what happened, because it's very interesting, really interesting what happens, and it tells you a lot about the Goyim. Look at the next pasuk. וישמעו פלישתים כי התקבצו בני ישראל המספתה ויעלו שני פלישתים אל ישראל וישמעו בני ישראל ויראו מפני פלישתים. Looking at the side, the Philistines, they begin to see that the Jews are all gathered in one place, and they see the Jews are praying. They're saying, what a fantastic opportunity. They're completely unarmed, no defenses, and they're all in one place. And the Philistines say, great, this is the time to finally attack them. This is the time that we can just, that's it, take over all of Israel. And the Jews, they see the Philistine army gathering, and they become terrified. And here's what happens. ויאמרו בני ישראל אל שמואל אל תחרש ממנו מזעוק אל אדוני אלוהינו ויושיענו מיד פלישתים. And the Jewish people go to Shemuel and they tell him, look what's happening. Please pray to Hashem. Don't be silent. We need Hashem to save us. And here's what Shemuel does. ויקח שמואל תלך עליו אחד ויעלהו עולה כליל לאדוני ויזעק שמואל אל אדוני בעד ישראל ויענהו אדוני. There is a law that when you bring a sacrifice before God, it has to be at least 8 days old. Shemuel takes a newly born lamb. Telech halad means nursing from the mother, but meaning less than 8 days old. Why? Okay, well, first of all, it's called acha. He can go against the law on a temporary basis. But why would he do it? Why did he take a lamb that's less than 8 days old? There was a couple of things he did. First of all, it was nighttime. You don't bring korbanot at night.
Pure?
Here, it's nighttime here.
I said pure, maybe.
Pure, that's a nice thing. But even better, he's telling Hashem, is this young lamb worthy? It's too young, right? But eventually this young lamb will become an 8-day-old and it will be worthy of a sacrifice. It will become holy, in a sense. He's saying the Jewish people are like that young lamb, right? It's true that right now you may be looking at them and you're saying, oh, they're not really worthy because, okay, they just left Avodah Zarah. I mean, they just left it. It's not like, but they're going to grow up. It's a process, a historical process. So the same way I'm bringing this young lamb, I'm bringing it for the Jewish people because that's what they are. The same way this young lamb will turn into an older lamb, which you would accept fully, I'm asking you to accept the Jewish people fully. And it's almost like, I forgot where I saw this in the Chachamim, It's almost like grapes. When the grapes are very young, it's called boser. And the grapes are very like, it's not enjoyable. You eat it. But, right, it's a bitter taste, or it's, right? But eventually these little grapes, what?
Sour.
Sour? Okay. Right. So, but eventually these sour grapes, they grow and they become delicious. So that's like the taleh. It's a young baby, yeah. Not supposed to bring a korban of it. It's not ready. The Jewish people are not ready. That's what Shemuel is telling God by bringing this young lamb that still is drinking milk and is not, so let's see what happens. Let's see if Hashem accepts the message of Shemuel. And Shemuel begins to pray fervently. He begins to pray fervently to God on behalf of the Jewish people. And here's what's happening. ויהי שמואל מעלה העולה ופלישתים ניגשו למלחמה בישראל. Shemuel is bringing the korban. He's in the middle of bringing the korban. He's praying to Hashem. He's bringing the korban. And as he's bringing this korban, these low-life Philistines, they say, great, let's attack these people. They're in the middle of praying. Their leader now is bringing a korban. And they begin to attack the Jewish people. וירעם אדוני בקול גדול ביום ההוא על פלישתים ויהומם וינגפו לפני ישראל. A fire comes out from the sky. It eats up the sacrifice. The sacrifice is accepted. At the same time, fire is coming out from the sky with thunder, and it begins to push away the Philistines, and they literally get blown up, literally exploded away. And as this happens, they begin, and so they wanted to enter the Jewish camp, they wanted to attack the Jews, and the same fire that eats at the Mizbeach, it blows away the Philistines, and it's a debacle. The Jews now, they're like, they see that God is on their side, they see God as their ally, and they begin to run, and they begin to chase down the Philistines. And the Pasuk says, ויסעו אנשי ישראל מן המספר וירדפו את פלישתים ויקום על מתחת לבית קר. The Jews begin to run down, the Philistines are running down the mountain, down to the valley. The Jews are running after them, and they finally, by the time they get to a place called Bet Kar, that's it, the Philistines are gone. Now I just want to tell you that if you go down the road, around the area of Nabi Samuel where this place took place, and you follow the road, it's a winding road downwards, you get to the valley, an hour later, there's a place, Terei, called Ras Karkar. Karkar. Same name. It's still there today. Okay? So these places, we found them, archaeologically speaking, we uncovered in modern Israel a lot of places that are described in these stories. And we have another couple of verses, and then I will take questions, and then we will say Birkat HaMazon and pray Arvit. ויקח שמואל אבן אחת וישם בין המספר ובין השן ויקרא את שם האבן העזב ויאמר עד הנה עזרנו אדוני. And Shemuel takes a stone, he puts it as a memorial, and he calls the stone the place where we were helped by Hashem. And the Chachamim said, anybody who passed by this stone in those days would say a beracha, she'asa li nes b'makom hazeh. Hashem made for me a miracle in this place. And the Gemara says, anybody who passes by that stone today, or back in the days of the Gemara, should say, she'asa nisim la'avotenu b'makom hazeh. Remember the miracles that God did for us in that place, because it was a war where we were completely unprepared. But Shemuel was there, and Shemuel was praying to God, and the fire came out of the sky and pushed our enemies away. And that's the end of the story. I will now take questions, then we'll say Birkat HaMazon, and we'll pray Arvit at 9:30. Quickly, yes, sir.
So Mishpah goes back to the book of Yoshua and the Canaanites, when they made a shrine over there.
Okay.
I'm asking.
You're asking, I don't understand the question?
No, is that why they went back to Mishpah?
To where? I'm not hearing.
My understanding is that in the book of Yehoshua
Yes,
and the Canaanites,
yes.
Canaan, that they made a shrine in Mishpah,
Mitzpah?
where they gather now in Mishpah.
Oh, in Mitzpah. Oh, it could be. I'm not sure if it's the same place. Interesting. It could be. It might be. Okay, I don't want to say yes, no. Other questions? Yes, sir. Yes, go ahead.
So you said that there was an explosion that pushed them away.
Right.
So did it burn them, or just they got scared and they moved away?
It doesn't, but I'll be honest, it doesn't say. Apparently it burnt them. Apparently those who weren't burned alive, they ran away. So there's some, and I think Hashem did that intentionally to give us some courage. If Hashem would have killed everybody, that would have been great. But he also wanted to give us some courage. Go chase them down. Be a man. Go fight them. Don't be afraid. I know they look tough and they look mean, but go fight them. So Hashem kills some of them, knocks some of them down, and they were like, oh, we got them. Let's go get them. Right? So we got like a little courage. So like develop our courage. You know what I'm saying? Like that's part of what changed the Jewish people. We eventually became fierce fighters, and we knew how to defend ourselves. So this is like the first time. It's like Hashem. It's like you go with your little son, and there's like a bully. You punch him. He's like, go, kick him now. Just kick him down. Like, don't be afraid of him, right? So you teach your kid to be courageous. All right. So let's say Birkat Hamazon. Let's pray Arvit. So you have 3 minutes. I'm saying you can have all the time to say Birkat Hamazon, Mahila, but we'll pray Arvit in 3 minutes. We're going to say Rabbi Hanan, so you can say Kaddish. Okay. Rabbi Han.
I have a question before you finish.
Yes.
Okay. Until the time that Shemuel did this korban, was God accepting any other korban?
Yes. Not like this. Not fire. No, not fire from the sky. No. That's Shemuel. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Mine, it is holy water from the tears.
Yeah.
It is water from the Jewish tears.
Yes, correct, yes.
Mine.
Yes, correct. That is correct. רבי חנניה בן עקשיא אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך בא להם תורה ומצוות שנאמר, אדוני חפץ למען צדקו יגדיל